During last week, I had to make a lot of changes in existing project, and I've decided to use Claude Code to help me speed up this process. This was first time when I interacted AI with actual existing production project. Let me show you the results. So, maybe let's start with the project when I will use AI and how I approach it. This project is a sports event manager. It's a 4 years old project which I maintain. I had to add translations and some mobile support from some part of this application. And to not do it by myself totally, I wanted to use Claude Code. But I never use it in this project, so I had to onboard it into existing production service, add proper rules, and then try to use it and actually develop some features. So let's start with the approach I'm using. I've created a standardized approach. So basically, in all my new services or existing services, I want to use Cloud in the same way, so it will be easier for me to handle these projects. So what is the approach? First step, I'm creating a new command, update doc command. You can see it on the screen. And basically this command helps me create the same documentation or the same structure of the documentation for each project. So when I'm opening like new project where I have Claude with this approach, I know where to look. And I also know how to prompt Claude to use this. So what is the standard approach? The agent has to create 3 folders, task, system, soap, and readme. And basically he has 3 jobs, two main jobs, I could say. First one was init documentation, so deep scan of codebase, generate this all feature files, update readme. And second task is update documentation. So he need to update relevant parts and system designs. Last is just quick note how he should behave when creating new doc files. So what is the approach I'm using with this command? Basically, documentation is splitted between 3 different directories. First one is SOPs, which are best practices of actual tasks. System, which is current state of the system and used patterns. And task, which are PRD files for every feature we will implement. You can see on the screen that in SOAP we have coding start dance, lesson learned. In system we have patterns like domain modeling. Task here is empty, but because on this step I didn't create any new feature with Claude yet. Let's go into the details. So SOAP part, you can see here, based on 2 projects. On left side you have a backend project, here is frontend project. In backend project you can see like some coding standards like CQRS separation, what he can do, what he shouldn't do. So this is basically clear view for Claude how to approach existing code base with some extra examples. On the right side you can see adding new feature. So this is like instruction what he should do when he will add any new feature. So you can see that new route should be added, new service, new view. This is a view app, so this is front-end app. Then we have system. System is like a detailed pattern and current state of implementation. You can see here exactly like for example CQRS and mediator usage, which I'm using in my .NET project in this sport event manager. So you can see here that he knows exactly what is the structure. So he should create feature folder inside this feature commands, and by command name, command handler, and command validator. And here he has example of the code from the existing code base. So he will know exactly what structure I expect when we will create new feature or when Claude will create new feature. Third one, I would say this is the place where you will work most with Claude, because system and SOAP are generated at the start and change when you do some big changes. So maybe at the start there are some updates, but when you have stabilized a project, the PRD files where you work most. Why? Because PRD files is basically description of the feature. PRD and stories is like used terms from the corporate world, but basically what that means. In PRD files, you have exactly step-by-step explained what feature should do. So for example, here we have feature English translations, product requirements document. And you can see here that as first time visitor, I want to display in my browser preferred language, Polish or English, and etc. etc. So basically, Claude here will give you a plan of implementation, like from the business perspective, so he can follow it, and also you know exactly how this feature works. So it's auto documentation, yeah. So when someone will come in a year and ask you, hey, how you implemented this? No problem. Let me look. Okay, I use this library. This works that way. You have exactly like exact manual of each feature. And this is really, really important. Always create PRD file before implementation. So you always ask Claude, create PRD file. So plan mode, create plan, create PRD file, then let's start implementing. And what was my workflow when I was creating or onboarding more Claude in my existing code base? So of course, for the start, I init Claude. He then scan all the code base, maybe ask some questions and prepare some first version of Claude MD. Most of the time it's a cluttered version of Claude. This is why I want to create some standard workflow to actually clean this and have proper documentation, because when working with AI, documentation is a key. Then I'm using my command which you were seeing at the start, so update doc. This creates this whole structure of SOPs, system and tasks. SOP, he always generates system, he will generate task, will be probably empty, like you can see here. This is exactly output which I've had when I use this on existing code base. Then I'm adding rules into the Claude. Rules like always create PRD files, always look into the agent file for readme, which is like index file. So I will show you the rules in a minute, but this is really important part to like always put these rules in the Claude MD, so you don't have to remember about it. So basically you create new feature, you tell Claude to create new feature, and always you will have, for example, this PRD file, or he will always go with some directions. And then at the last step, I always do optimize Claude MD with Anthropic guideline. Basically, I'm telling Claude to optimize Claude MD, and I'm putting this Anthropic guideline URL for him. So he reads it and he optimizes Claude MD with this guideline. I also always mention in this step to remove duplications which are already in documentation. So basically, documentation is part for the details. He needs to always look into the documentation for the details, but in Claude we don't want to have extra context cluttered. So, about the rules. What we have in rules, you can see here, based on two examples, which is one is front-end project, second is back-end project. So, the common part will be always create this documentation and read agent readme, which is like index file for the old documentation. So create PRD, create relevant documentation, document new patterns, and links, like quick links where to look for some most important parts of the documentation. For example, on backend, this is much more technical because for me it was really important to have like safe usage of Claude on the backend part, because this is like the main business logic. So critical rules, like you can see, also planning first. So create PRD. I've changed a little bit here structure of this PRD with dates, because this is really important for me. But for example, in my .NET project, I don't want to use automapper. I have it, but I'm like using this as legacy. I have no new approach. I have multi-tenancy in this app. I have soft deletes. I'm using async programming. I'm using some query patterns to optimize queries. I'm using validations. I'm using secure res. So I want to put all these critical rules in Claude MD directly, so I'm sure that he will always follow it and never forget. So my code will be at the good level. Of course, I'm doing still code review or I'm manually coding, but without this, if you just let Claude create code, it won't be like, it will work, but like code quality will not be the best. So yeah, rules are important. I'm sure that everyone will come with its own rules based on actual project, but remember to put this and always document the code. Seriously, this is really important. So what example and where I used actually this Claude? Let me show you this. So this sport event manager has 4 parts. Of course, from the app perspective, it has more stuff like databases, etc., but we focus on the apps itself. So we have main backend app, which is .NET, and we have 3 front apps. One is back office, so like for admins, front office for the clients, and leaderboards for everyone to see like results of such event. And in back office, I was implementing mobile view because back office worked only on desktop, and I want to add also mobile view support to have like possibility to check something from mobile, because often I have such situation that I'm somewhere not in my home and someone asks me to verify something, and these views was really hard to manage on mobile. So I've added mobile views and I've added PAWA support, but let me show you. All codebase has like around 100 views, and I spent 1 day of working with Claude. I think easily 3 to 5 days of work saved. I mean 80 plus views, around 100 to rework for mobile view. It's not easy and it's a lot of work. So like you can see screenshot here from this app. Before we have like really bad view, so you see that it's something is cutted, everything is cluttered, some empty spaces, etc. And after you can see it's actual mobile with proper menu, with proper collapsing, and everything is structurized. I even updated this view till this point. I just don't have a new version in prod yet, but I'm even going step further with optimization, because I've asked Claude to verify mobile view under iOS guideline, and we see some changes and some improvements. But 1 day of work, I have all views in such approach. This is great result, and code is in good shape, good structure, and good quality. And second task was adding translations. So you can see here that before we didn't have any option to choose language and everything was in Polish. Right now, after implementation, we have button to select language and everything is translated. So we have everything in English, like another view from the payment part. And here also it took 1 day of work with Claude, and actually I think 3 to 5 days would be manual work, because I've done this before for different apps, and it's a lot of boring work to add these translations. What is also important, this 1 day of work with Claude, is because I have only Pro subscription, this $17 or something like that. So I hit the limit often, 3 times. Yeah, I've started in the morning, I hit the limit, I've waited till like 1 p.m. At 1 p.m. I had a second session, and like at 6 p.m. I had third session, and in third session I've actually finished it. Of course, I've done some manual work during implementation, both of this, or some manual changes or some changes for Claude, but I would say 90% of output was on the level where I didn't have to change anything. So it's great. So basically, this is all which I want to show you. I want you to remember to always create documentation. If you want to use my workflow, happy to copy it. If you need some code, maybe this update doc command, let me know in the comment. I will share it with you, maybe on some GitHub repo. And if you want to have more, information about Claude, about developing, and about my business stories, please hit subscribe. Bye.